And I'm very happy to talk to you about our sponsor, Elevate Farms, of course. Elevate Farms is a technology and IP-based indoor farm that produces traditional farm-grown equivalent products at wholesale market price with a global footprint. Go to Elevate.Farm for more information. I want to remind you as well that if you sign up to Rebel News Plus, you'll get a bonus segment exclusive to subscribers every week. There won't be any ads on it like this one, so sign up for $8 a month. You guys know me, I'm a big crypto guy, but I'm actually not that great at it. So I've teamed up with Bitcoin 2022, the largest Bitcoin event in the world, April 6th to 9th in Miami Beach, Florida. All the freedom you could ever need. Now, day one is industry day for enterprising Bitcoiners like myself. I need the help really badly. Days 2 and 3 are conference days, including speakers like El Salvador President Nayib Bukele. He's got a big surprise he's promised for everybody, as well as CEOs like Michael Saylor, Elizabeth Stark, Jack Mallers, Adam Back, and hundreds more that you don't want to miss. Now, the last day is the world's first and largest Bitcoin music festival, Sound Money Fest. You don't want to miss it. Last year's conference sold out, so grab your tickets online. b.tc/conference is where you go. You can pay in Bitcoin and save, or use promo code REBELNEWS. That's promo code REBELNEWS for 10% off, and I will see you in Miami. Don't forget, prices increase February 18th. Samaire Armstrong is an actress and political commentator. She's from all your favorite shows, including mine, of course, Entourage. She's in the upcoming movie Terror on the Prairie, produced by The Daily Wire alongside Gina Carano. Eric Butler is a podcaster, photographer, and writer for TatumReport.com. His book, New York City 2020 Gotham Unglued, really gets together all the compilation of the decay of New York City. It's available right now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Thank you both for joining me. How are you guys?
Amazing. Thank you.
Good. Happy to be here. Nice to see you guys.
Thanks for always talking to your favorite Canadian. I'm imposing that title on myself. The biggest news in the world right now, I think, or at least here and everywhere around us, is the Canadian trucker convoy. We've got a blockade in our western province above Montana. We've got the big protests still happening in our nation's capital in Ottawa. I wanted to ask you guys, Eric, we'll start with you, I think. What kind of stuff are you guys hearing about it down there? What's the coverage like? Is there talking points that I should be aware of?
Well, me personally, and I'm not saying this because I'm on your show right now, but I am getting most of my news on that convoy from Rebel. So I'm getting hopefully the truth. Outside of that, there has been some smear campaigns, right? We saw I forget the guy's name, a Washington Post opinion writer who says that we need to confront this convoy head on. Right. And it's just what you'd imagine it would be. They're likening this to Donald Trump, even though he's been gone for more than a year now. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to play this, right? I think you mentioned that they're taking this one incident of some guy with a flag who may or may not have been a plant. So they're looking for their little things to pick out and smear people with. It's totally not working. And I just want to say really briefly that I saw a clip on MSNBC, Meet the Press with Chuck Todd, of him telling Dr. Fauci. I don't know if you guys have seen this clip. Maybe I'll post it somewhere on my social media, but Chuck Todd is telling Dr. Fauci that people don't believe you anymore. People don't trust you. People don't trust Dr. Walensky and the CDC anymore. And that is happening while the convoy is pretty much dominating the news landscape. So I think what we're seeing here is the entire thing start to collapse a little bit now. Of course, in California, they're still going to they're still going to do the complete opposite stuff, right? So they're going to double down on mandates. Last thing I want to say here is I saw in my hometown of Oakland, California, where I was literally born and raised, a restaurant that has a sign out front that says, you must get the shot to eat indoors, and you need a booster shot to sit at a bar. So they're completely going the opposite direction. I don't know exactly where they're getting their news from, but I'll say I think it's crumbling here, and they're clinging on to their last little bit of pandemic panic, I guess.
Television and box office star Samaire Armstrong, what are you hearing about the convoy where you are?
So I gave up watching mainstream media a while ago, and like Eric, I mostly get my news from social media, people who are on the ground, and obviously I've been following Rebel News for quite a while. So, although I did see, and I just sent it to you, Andrew, this is MSM. Wait, what is it? I'm not sure what news. Oh, MSNBC. Sorry, it says it right in front of me. And they go on to say that the truckers' convoy is its own cult, and that they're taking food away from the food lines, a food bank out there. That they demanded food. Did you hear that? I just sent it to you. You can look at it. Obviously, it's such a joke. And then the other thing is that they just happened to find the one Confederate flag toting person out there. Like, they didn't happen to find him; they happened to plant him, and then happened to take pictures and spread that as if that's actually the whole entire convoy. And I was talking to some friends last night. It's like they just cannot believe that patriots, American, Canadian, worldwide citizen, just want the ability to go out and provide for their families. They just want freedom and they just want choice. And that's such an extreme thought nowadays. Like, these elites the political and corporate elite have gotten so hot-headed and like so infatuated with their own belief system and perception. They can't fathom that the minions, as they see us, would want, not to be told what to do. And there's always these quote unquote experts now, like the experts on where COVID's going, the experts on how to treat it, and the experts on what's like, get out of our lives. You are nobodies. My own vision can see what's going on in this world. And they want you to believe that your perception is the wrong one, when clearly they're nuts. They're absolute lunatics.
The thing about this soup kitchen thing, they're saying that people harass the soup kitchen staff. They've also said the Ottawa Citizen, which is not a good outlet in my opinion, they made a statement on behalf of, or they printed a statement from a paramedics union official, I believe, who said that people were throwing rocks at an ambulance and giving racial slurs to an Asian paramedic. And along with, and I'm not saying any of this stuff isn't true, but along with the soup kitchen stuff, there's no video of it. There's no photos of it. There's no police reports. The police chief of Ottawa today spoke on camera saying it's been overwhelmingly peaceful. We've had our own reporters on live streams. Shout out Lincoln J, who had his stuff on Tucker Carlson last night. He was on a live stream talking to different police departments, because they've obviously hired people from different departments to go up there. One of them said he was having a good time. Another guy said that it's been peaceful. They're all saying it's been peaceful. So over 100,000 people there over the weekend, assumedly over 100,000 camera phones, and nobody caught any of this stuff. But they did catch, the guy with the Confederate flag which has a truck on it. I don't know who just has a semi-truck Confederate flag hanging around in Canada, and then a Nazi flag which had some fresh folds in it. So there's actually a reward from a nice company up here called True North. They're a good outlet. I like them. I think it's up to $6,000 now of our wonderful Canadian dollars to identify the guy with the Nazi flag. Only seen twice. Very little coverage of the guy. And to your point, Samaire, about them saying how they distributed this photo basically about the guy with the Confederate flag, there were some mainstream media journalists who were 10 feet away from this guy taking a picture of him, and they didn't think to ask him any questions. He was also wearing a blackface face mask, like a minstrel show ski mask. Eric, if you didn't see that one. And people in the crowd started booing him.
Well, you got to ask me if I saw it. It's February 1st.
I want you to be offended on my show.
I have a quick question though, because isn't this exactly what we saw? Regardless of what you might think about Glenn Youngkin, or if you know anything about Glenn Youngkin, didn't we see something very similar with this when a guy had like this brand new denim coat? Or I don't know if it was brand new.
Yeah, the guys they planted in front of the bus, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was in front of a bus. It was like the photo I remember was this guy with a new denim coat with a little Confederate flag patch on the back of it. Yeah. And
his back was facing the camera and he was facing the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so convenient. We found this Confederate flag guy.
This is it sounds like the exact type of thing. And just really briefly too, I think that we're seeing this and we are going in the right direction, right? And I don't know if it's ever waking people up as much as people who are even like my family. They kind of have finally had enough of it, right? So they're not stupid, but they're finally like, okay, I finally have the courage to say something about this. And the reason I say that is because when I look at some social media comments, say on the Washington Post, for instance, you still have this, what we'll use the term fringe minority, right? I mean, I think we can totally, because that's what they do. They will totally invert reality. But you can see how the brainwashing has actually worked on people. And I don't want to jump ahead too far, but you see what happened with Gavin Newsom and London Breed at that football game. And you see people in the comments saying, just leave them alone. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, of course, everybody should just leave all of us alone, right? I mean, I agree with your point. Like, we should leave them alone. It doesn't really matter. But they're the ones imposing these in completely insane things on us. So I guess I said all that to say, it feels like as a whole, we are going in the right direction, and maybe this will come to an end eventually. But there's always those people that still have, I don't know, this weird Stockholm syndrome or whatever it is, and they can't let go. They just like to be controlled. It's weird.
Yeah, there's a member of parliament. I guess you could maybe compare him to a House member in the U.S. in Ottawa saying, you know, we should take the money. They've raised over $6 million on GoFundMe, and they said we should take the money to clean up after the protests, to give it to businesses. And it's like, this was not a thing for Black Lives Matter protests. This was not a thing for Antifa protests. Yeah. And you don't get to just take people money. So they want to take people's money that was donated to the cause for fuel and food, because the truckers say they're not leaving. A whole bunch of people who were supporters left, but the truckers say they're not leaving. They want to take this money and they want to, you know, give it to the government, essentially seize their assets, if you will. And a similar thing's happening on the Alberta-Montana border, where the RCMP, which is, you know, like our FBI, but it does a whole bunch of other stuff. They're not nearly as coordinated, but they were reportedly and allegedly, I'll say, of course, as well, blocking off food and medical care to the truckers at the border. Now, keep in mind, these truckers at the border, they're allowing a lane of traffic to go by them on both sides. So they're just blocking the trucks, to my understanding. But you never even actually see that in like war times, where you block the medical and food passages, especially in modern wars. That's probably against some sort of thing. So it's like you have over 100,000 people, and there's even, you know, like a people of color for the freedom protest thing going on, which of course I know we disagree with on the surface, but it's just to try to prove otherwise from the narrative of that this is like a white supremacist thing. And you've got all this stuff happening, and they still can't believe it. They still refuse to believe it. And even further than that, they think it's okay to, you know, like, let's stop their money from coming in. Let's arrest them, even though there's been no violence whatsoever. So I don't know where the consistency comes in with these people, where it's okay for, you know, to quote David Menzies here at Rebel News, one rule for me and another rule for thee, where they can just, you know, I'm making a stand. I can do whatever I want. It's okay to inflict violence on these people. It's okay to, you know, take their money and take away their supplies. Am I way off here, Samaire?
No, it's funny too, because I've been reading comments from people who live in Ottawa and people speaking on behalf of the people who work in Ottawa, and they're saying, you know, okay, we get it, we get your message, now it's time to let us be and move on so we can get back to life. It's like, yeah, that's what we're talking about here. So you get it, you know. And then also I've seen video footage of the first night, once everyone got there, the next day, you know, there was a massive, it almost seemed like a rave or something. How many people are out there dancing. And then the next day was absolutely spotless. There was no trash. So what are they trying to take? What are they going to use the money for actually? Because there is no cleanup. That the people there already cleaned up themselves.
Yeah, and the worst thing that's happening today, Eric, is a hockey game broke out. I know you're surprised to hear something like that happen, but they're playing hockey in the streets as we speak. When I turn on, this is something else I wanted to ask you guys about as being our neighbors to the south. When I turn on the American news, and I do this, it's all like the Russia stuff right now. And of course, it seems like everybody's against it, the intervention. You know, we're selling them weapons. America's selling them weapons. But they're really pushing this. And something I want to ask you guys, is there anybody who's being like, yeah, let's send troops to Ukraine. We need to protect Ukraine. Is there anybody other than the mainstream media who's really going forward with this narrative?
Not that I know of. I don't think anybody is really. I guess maybe since you bring it up, maybe the Dan Crenshaw types. Maybe there's some boomers that are really into this. But I haven't seen anybody that I don't want to say trust, but anybody that I look to, news-wise, whether it's Tim Pool or any of the like outsider people that I look to kind of shoot it straight as far as the news is concerned. I haven't seen any of those people really going to bat for war. I can genuinely say that if there's one thing that even the radical left can agree on with like some, I guess, fairly right-wing people, is not going to war. And that is really what differentiates, in my opinion, obviously, the sole thing that differentiates the real, grassroots left from the corporate establishment media left, right? They love the war. They love to talk about how evil Russia is while simultaneously sort of ignoring the threat that China might pose. But I am not a expert on, international whatever proceedings, so I can't really speak to that. But to answer the question is, I haven't seen anybody in favor of that. Not yet. And I don't watch every single news broadcast, but if I were to guess, I'd probably say it'd be somebody like Joe Scarborough or Mika who might like that stuff. But I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
Did you guys see this thing? Dan Crenshaw is getting a lot of heat lately, I feel like, even more than usually. Did you guys see the thing where he was arguing with like a 10-year-old? Samaire, did you see that?
Yeah, that's so embarrassing.
Arguing over a 10-year-old about scripture, and then he says that she's misquoting him, and then the video I saw played the exact clip she was talking about, and the 10-year-old was right. It's really... It was
a potato moment. Remember that?
What do you mean potato moment?
Was it George Bush who didn't know how to spell potato, or who was that back in the?
I don't know.
I do not remember that one.
No?
I just saw the George Bush clip again today, where he's we're gonna get those bastards. Now watch me take this drive, and he's playing golf. I love that one. That's pretty spectacular. The book Upside Down. There's a lot of George Bush.
I feel like Dan Crenshaw is conservative light. Like Dan Crenshaw speaks to people who are transitioning over from once being a diehard Democrat into conservative territory. Mm-hmm. And I fell for him myself when I first sort of like really awoken to the conservative fundamentals. And then I was like, oh, he's like a complete rhino. But that seems to be like he's always hanging on by a thread.
I know. And it's sort of like the deal where the same thing with like, there's a lot, I don't want to name any specific names, but everybody goes through this process of there's some people you really trust at the beginning when you're we'll say we're transitioning. Eric loves stories about transitioning. He's a big fan. I want to talk more about Joe Rogan and Spotify with you guys, but Eric, I think I'd be remiss, I think is the word, if we didn't get a woman's opinion on the Penn swimmer thing. This has consumed a lot of me and Eric's life over the past 3 weeks now. Samaire, have you heard about the Penn swimmer, the drama? Now we're into the spot where I believe, and Daily Wire mentioned this, and Eric brought it up recently, that the trans Penn swimmer is now gallivanting around showing his junk off. Have you read about this?
Yeah, I didn't hear the word gallivanting, but I did hear that he
that's my word.
He had had allegedly exposed. What are you supposed to do unless you're in a bathroom stall? People are going to see your junk, whatever type of junk it is. I feel bad for everyone involved in that situation, because I have no doubt what is the swimmer's name? What is the swimmer's name?
Leah
Thomas.
I have no doubt that Leah, sees herself the way she does. Like, that's unquestionable. And so in her human experience, like, I want to make her feel comfortable and worthy of being a human being on earth, but then also taking away from girls' sports and their experience, like that really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I think I have a lot of not trans conservative, but transgender friends who are conservative, and they think it's not fair. And there was just a Senate hearing somewhere. And a transgender male spoke out on behalf of his young nieces who have to, be encouraged into sports now because there are young trans individuals taking over and dominating their whole athletic experience in high school, and it's not right.
Eric, I'm going to turn to you for a complete 180. I think.
Yeah, I'm not on board with this at all.
Wait, that's not a 180. We're on the same page. I just say it nicer.
Well, here's where I'm going to disagree, is because I don't, and there's obviously no way to prove this, but I just don't believe that you get to the point where you're in college and you've already competed as a male for 2 years, that magically you're a woman. You're not, bro. And on top of that, according to the Daily Wire, Leah is still into women. So this to me just doesn't ring true at all. And I'm not a sexual expert. I don't know like how to, navigate this entire thing. But you can't tell me you're not going to make me believe that after competing as a man for 2 years in swimming in college, we're not talking about 4th grade, 5th grade stuff. We're talking about college. You are a man. You went through this. And in your 3rd year of college, you know what? I think I'm a woman. Like, why am I not Tiger Woods right now? It just doesn't make any sense. And you can go to the intramurals, you can go to the rec league. And look, I will also be honest and tell you that I don't care about women's swimming. That's just the honest truth. Like, I couldn't name one other women's swimmer on the planet. I couldn't. Katie Ledecky? I think that's one.
Eric. Unbelievable.
So it really doesn't matter if this is just about getting to the fact that we are eliminating reality. And I know that I've said this before, and it probably will make some people unhappy and cringe and like it sounds weird. But if we hadn't got a large enough portion of the population to believe that a man can just change into a woman because he so thinks it, that is the only reason that we are at this point where people think the air is unsafe to breathe outside, is because there is no more reality. So of course, once you trick somebody into thinking, well, a man can have a baby, of course the air outside your front door is dangerous. You'll get them to believe anything now. It doesn't even matter. And that's the problem that I have with it. It's not that I hate anybody or want them to not have a good time, but it's like, we're not going to completely eliminate reality so you can check out chicks in the locker room, bro. And again, we can go back to the Daily Wire article, but if it is known that you are still sexually attracted to women while you're pretending to be a woman, although not having had the surgery or whatever it is, it just rings like a scam to me. I see, last thing here is like, I see these people continually roll all of their issues into one giant disgusting thing. So that's why we have climate justice, because the climate has become racist. And now we have this woman who is turning swimming into a political thing, and they're colluding with each other to win. So it's just, it's all mixed up into this one big disgusting bowl of like, just obey, right? These are the same people that tell you to trust the science, to trust Dr. Fauci, follow the science, believe, get the Pope. And then they're going to tell you, I don't know. Maybe we could do a little research, but I would be willing to bet that Leah Thomas will go to bat 100% for you to get 4 or 5, 6 booster shots without even thinking about it. But then we'll turn around and tell you that I'm a woman. It does not compute. 404 not found.
Soon to be banned from Twitter, Eric Butler. He's reporting opine on there. Samaire, do you, including or not including this, do you worry about women and young women specifically in terms of how the media and social media push all these things to them? I mean, you can see a random person, maybe they're an athlete, maybe they are, I don't know what a photographer, and they've got pronouns in their name, like this is a completely normal thing. Do you worry for young women and in terms of how they're being influenced by pop culture and the media to, really be hardcore indoctrinated into some of this stuff?
I not only worry for women, I worry for young men too. I have a 9-year-old, and when I started speaking out against the masks at their school last year, I was going to the school board meetings, and one of the teachers had her pronouns in her Zoom. It was a Zoom because they're afraid of air. Had her pronouns inside of her, of the description where her name was. And because of that, I will be taking my son out of school next year because she's the teacher for the next school. It concerns me. And, they do it with a very subtle sleight of hand. My son's not allowed on social media. He's not allowed, and 2 years ago, he had his own TikTok. He had his own Instagram. He was 6 at the time. Terrible parenting. But now there's no way, because we absolutely know that there is an intentional agenda to steer young Americans, and maybe Canadians too, I don't know, but from the genesis of what's going on in China and how they're socially altering society and this pseudo tech warfare, or maybe entire tech warfare, and their 100-year-long plan to dominate the world. There's absolutely a play at our children, and it's been going on from when we were in school, and we all said, wow, education's terrible. Well, why do we just accept that? And why do we continue to think that that's the norm? And it just perpetuates in a really astonishing, psychologically damaging, manipulative way. And so if you are a parent, if you are, a mentor for children, I hope you arm the child with reality, because there's nothing gnarlier than coming up in the world as a young person anyways. But then to add all these things that are like, wait, up isn't up anymore, you're really screwing with our future and these young people's lives. So yes, to answer your question, yes, absolutely. I am concerned. And back to Eric's point, it's like, I think two realities can be held at once, whereas that's not reality. What they're trying to perpetuate, that, men can have babies, that's not reality. But I do believe that, with all the oddness going on through the vaccinations or whatever else it is, I fully believe that these people think that that's their existence. And I can hold that reality while also being like, well, yeah, but you still can't have a baby if you're a man, So I think it's figuring out for me and for young people, figuring out, like, and maybe Eric, I don't know, but figuring out how to navigate that, because I've spoken with these people, I'm friends with people, and that's their experience, and they don't have an agenda. They're just, in a lot of ways, really fucked, and finally is having a relief by figuring something out. And maybe it's temporary, and maybe it's what it is for the moment. But like, you got to allow some space for variables that we aren't fully understanding yet. And I do believe that some of that space and some of that variables is the psychological warfare, and also the chemicals and weird stuff we injected into our children in the last few decades. 75 vaccinations per baby. Like, what is in there? And we're just finding out about what's going on now. What else is in there? What else has it done to manipulate the psyche of the individual growing up?
Well, before we get into that, sorry, Eric, I got to put us behind the paywall, Eric, before we get banned, and something extra for the subscribers. It's okay. Don't worry. Power to the people, Rebel News. Some other 90s slogan, dare to be whatever. I don't know. RebelNewsPlus.com, you guys. You're going to get another probably banned segment if we stay on here. $8 a month, or sign up for a year, and you will get 2 free months. Keep up with Samaire on her social media for her upcoming movie. Keep up with Eric on social media at TatumReport.com for his writing. And, of course, watch our podcast, of course, every Sunday. All right, we're going to move behind the paywall. See everybody else next week.